In the second part, I will show you the compositing. Let's start by going into the node editor. So this is what the node tree looks like. This is more or less a combination of various effects. Let's begin with the first parts here. As you can see here, I have two render layers. The first one renders the whole scene, while the second one renders only the car. The reason why is to be able to play a little with the blue material here. As you can see here, the emit buffer is activated, so that you can add some effects only to the emitting materials, independently from the rest. As you can see here, I added two glare nodes to the emit buffer of the car render layer. Then, some blur here, for a more diffuse light. They are merged together with a mix node. And this is what you get. Now the blue material is emitting more light, as you can see. Now the blue light is added to the render layer, using another mix node. Also I added a glare node to the first render layer as well. From this addition, this is what you get. As you can see, the blue material has this overlight flow effect. And the rest of the scene also has a little glow effect on it. Now let's move to the second part. Just right there. So from this here, I added an RGB curves effect like this, as well as some blur. The result is a low contrast and blurry image. Why? Because I think it gives me a kind of light diffusion, or reflection, coming from the objects. And also, I think the transition between the 3D elements, and the movie file background, is a little softer then. Now what you see here, allows me to add a noise effect to the render, thanks to a noise texture from Blender. Because a regular render always gives a perfect image, compared to a real image recorded by a video camera, which is never so perfect. That's why I think you always need to soil your render a little. Now that's what I get from these effects. In a mix node, set as multiply. Here I have a smoother transition with the background. Talking about background, I can now add my video. Here I have a scale node, set as render size. My original footage was recorded in 1080p, but my render has a resolution of 720p. With this node, my video is scaled by the size of the render. Also my video is added in the background thanks to an alpha over node. This is the result I have now. I now want to add an effect of fog, to merge the video, and 3D, in a kind of same weather, or atmosphere conditions. The first thing I did, was to add a blend texture, also from Blender. Now the top of the image, where you see the far land, is more white, than the parts closer to us. But it's not over yet, we need a distance effect to get it true. This is my render layer, as you can see, just as the emit buffer, I also activated the mist buffer. For this effect, we will need to use the mist values here. But the mist itself, must stay deactivated. As you can see, I have set my distance here for the mist, using these values. Now from the mist buffer, I added a bright and contrast node, as well as an invert node. If you want to know more about it, I recommend you to watch this in the Blender wiki. This will explain how to use the mist this way. Even if it's supposed to be used for depth of field, more importantly, I use this method because of transparent faces. Usually, you would use the Z buffer here, as a third X, or distance value, for your image. But the Z buffer don't care about transparent objects, such as my smoke domain here. For the Z buffer it still stands as a big cube in the middle of my scene here. That's why God provided us this method here. If you want to know what I'm really talking about, go see here. Without this method, I would see a big cube here, instead of the stairs and everything else. Now let's see the result by adding this image to the render. Boom. If you did not notice the difference, let's compare. Only the blend texture. The blend texture and mist effect. The next part will focus on the EAT effect. The anti-gravity things you see here are emitting EAT. Don't ask me why, I'm no scientist, but it does. To do this I created a new scene, which is a full copy of the original scene. But I kept only what was necessary. Everything has the no shadow material to act like a mask. Here, there is a particle system on each anti-gravity things. See the particles here? This is what I get once rendered. The white color of this image will be used as a reference for effects in the first scene. Let's see how. This is what I get by adding a bright and contrast node and the noise texture. It becomes a little more concentrated. Now as you can see, I used a displace node to my original render. With this render layer as a vector to distort the image like it would do. And a defocus node to blur this part as well. So the black and white colors here is affecting the intensity. The effect will be effective only where the right color is. Just like a right mask. Oh, sorry for this. When I rendered the particles in the other scene, it was not at the same frame then as the scene right now. I need to re-render. WTF, the car disappeared. Where did you go? Oh, I know. When I wanted to show you the mist thing, I left the car layer deselected. Oh yeah. Now it's back in the game, baby. Let's render this again. And now you can see the effect here. Time to go back to work. If you didn't see, you can also see it here, mainly because it's the same image. Yes, it's hard to fill the blanks. That's what she said. Let's go see the color grading step now. As you can notice, I used a color balance node. If you want to give a red or orange tone to your video, don't forget to add some blue color on the other side to compensate. Here is the vignette, which is an image I made using GIMP. I almost use it in all my renders. To add this vignette, don't forget to check the alpha box here. Finally, comes a lens distortion node, because I wanted to see my 3D render and real video merged into a same distortion. Let's see this in action. So here, the real image and the 3D are sharing the same distortion. Now, let's see what everybody wanted to see from the beginning. Lens flares. This is the lens flare for the car light. Here you can see 3 render layers. The first thing to say is that you don't necessarily need 3 layers, only one can do the job. But I'm a complicated man. Let's see what those render layers stand for. Just now, when I'm done pointing this, just like before, I created a new scene, a full copy. It's barely the same thing than the particle system layer. Except that here, I have 3 layers. In case you didn't guess yet. The first layer has nothing on it. You will see why later. The second one has the lens flare material on it. How? Well, there are 4 vertices, with a halo material. 1 for each wheels. So the material is set as halo. And here, the flares box is checked. That's basically how you create a simple lens flares. Playing with these values here give various effects. Now let's look at the third layer. In this one I added a sphere on each wheels again. These spheres are emitting light on the material. And obviously, everything is parented to the empty of the car. Now, why is there nothing on the first layer? The reason for that is that I discovered that Blender seems to always display the flare in the first layer, even if the material is in another layer. What I mean is that if you look at the material, you can see white spots here, and halos around. Blender is displaying the white spots in any layer you want, but displays the halos, or flares, if you prefer, always in the first layer, giving you the opportunity to composite them separately if you want, so giving you more options. Again, nobody forces you to do that, a single layer will do the job. I think you will understand what I mean, if I show you the compositing. Damn, I need to select my 3 layers first. Now render again, and go into the compositor. So this is the lens flare node tree. First, let's see those tree layers. As you can see, although the first one was empty, the flare is displaying here. Dunno if it's a glitch or something. Then, as you can see, the white spots of the flare material are here. So, without the flare. And so, the glowing white sphere are here. The reason I did this at first was to have more opportunity with the compositing, and a clearer lecture. In definitive, I kept everything. Let's see the effects. For the flare, I begin with a tone map node. I got this. Then, bright and contrast, dilate erode, bright and contrast again. I got this. Color balance for the blue color, and blur. Here is a wood texture, for a different look, and a mix node, set as multiply. Now let's see the glowing things. As you can see, there are several glare effects. I use them to get these long light streaks. Then again, this is added to the flare, and another wood texture, just like before. This is what you get in the end. But now, I'm in the wrong scene. What if I want to import these nodes in the original scene? Well, just group them together. Now go into your original scene. Add 3 render layers, the same as in the flare scene. And add the group you just created. Piece of cake. If you want, you still can edit your nodes by pressing Tab, or ungroup them here. Here are the 2 other lens flares you can see in the final result. I processed the same way for each one. One for the background, one for the little lamps in the foreground. If you want, I can show you the effects on the 2 other lens flares. If you don't want, turn your head from the screen for 20 seconds. And now, if you finally add the lens flare, this is what you will get. Also here, there is again a little noise effect. As always, I like to merge the 3D and the real video together, with an effect they share. The end. Now you can proudly see the differences between the original colors here. And then all this part here. Original colors. Compositing. And this is the end of this breakdown. I hope it will help you one day. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about the droplet effect on the screen, you can watch the quick tutorial about it. Bye, and take care of yourselves. Really.